Hey, Nelson, alcoholic addict. That's not my real name. That is my pen name that I use here at LOL Sober. I stayed at a hotel recently, and it was a hotel room where I really liked the towels and the lotion bottle that was in my room. And I just loved how firm the texture of the towels were. It was perfect for me. And the lotion was great for my face. My face gets pretty dry. The lotion is not too oily. It was just oily enough. It was perfect. And so as I packed up to leave, I put one towel and I put a small bottle of the lotion in my bag and I zipped it up. Then I unzipped it. Um, taking towels, taking other stuff from hotels, it's not a new thing. In fact, it's a cliche. I think from the beginning of time, back when cavemen stayed at the Holiday Inn Express in Columbus, Ohio, I think they always took towels too. You might want to fact check me on that. The thought is, I paid $100 or $150 for this room from this giant corporation. So who cares if I take one towel? They probably won't even notice. And listen, people do it. I'm not here to litigate whether that's right or wrong. I get it. I've done it. That's why I zipped it up in my bag initially. I've taken stuff many times from hotels in the past. But most of it was when I was before I got sober, and because it's just not for me anymore. And no judgment on anybody who takes some towels, absolutely none. I'm just talking about me here. I have figured out the best way for me to avoid doing 10 bad things is to not do one to begin with. I know some people that do 5 bad things and they're like, I need to stop, and then they do. That's harder for me than if I just don't start to begin with. I am a binger. I binged everything. I binged drugs and alcohol back in the day for sure. And, even in sobriety, I binged food, TV shows, you name it, a bunch of other stuff. And the same as it was with drinking, the best way to avoid eating 3 donuts is to not eat the first one. That was my thing with drinking. The minute I drank one, line the next 10 up because I wasn't going to stop, So, it was harder to drink 5 than it was to drink 0, believe it or not. But if you're an addict, you realize you know what I'm talking about. So stealing is a slippery slope for me. Even like what is the definition of stealing? If you use your corporate card, if you pad your expenses a little bit, is that stealing? I don't know. I think it is, but when it's a slippery slope. When I was active, I took whatever I thought I needed without much remorse. I never got into like going to Target and taking stuff, going to the grocery store and taking stuff. But I would have. It's just something I hadn't done yet, For sure I would have at some point, if I got desperate enough. It was one of those weird lines I drew in my head that didn't have much logic behind it. It was just like, well, I don't steal from stores, so therefore I'm okay. Why was stealing from my dad okay, but not Walmart? It was an addict's rationale. Picking and choosing and figuring out, working backwards from the answer you want. In sobriety, the rationale, it can still be a problem. I still have the same head. It's changed a lot, but the brain is still there. Just like when I was drinking. The booze was a symptom of a bigger disease. It wasn't the disease itself. My disease has always required a spiritual solution that impacts every corner of my life. And when I say the rationale can be an issue, I mean that I've had a few times when I went through the self-checkout lane in sobriety and something didn't scan right or I forgot to scan it. And every time I've gotten to the car and realized that, my first thought has been, well, I've probably overpaid for something in the past, right? So it probably evens out. And besides, their prices are ridiculous compared with some of the other grocery stores in the area. They're just preposterous. They could afford to have somebody like me forget to pay for a bag of chips once in a while. Come on. Those thoughts they fly right into my brain. I don't have any control over them. It is an old muscle that I don't work much anymore. But it is a muscle that will get stronger if I work it out on a regular basis. And I can't do that. I can't get started on 1 or 2 shady things because For someone like me, doing one or two shady things quickly becomes three or four. And then look out, you better hide your wallet and those fancy plates that Aunt Vivian willed to you when she died. Hide them all, because I'm coming. Um, it reminds me a little bit of an idea I entertained early in sobriety. I told a friend I was trying to get sober, and he wasn't an alcoholic. And I said I have to quit drinking, but I'm going to miss drinking a beer or two on NFL Sundays. And I said that, and it was disingenuous because I never drank a beer or two. I drank 15 beers. But anyway, I said it. Oh, I'm going to miss having a beer or two on Sundays. His suggestion was maybe I allow myself every Sunday to drink a few non-alcoholic beers. What about that? Non-alcoholic beers. And I thought about it, but when I ran it by people I'd met in sobriety, they all shook their heads and they thought it was a bad idea. And it was explained to me that the rituals of drinking had to go along with the actual drinking. All the rituals had to go too. And they suggested it had to be all or nothing on beer. That was their experience, all or nothing. And I tried nothing. And guess what? It's worked. It's worked pretty damn well. So I'd like to keep it that way. And I'd like to keep it that way on taking stuff also. So I think I'll just leave the lotion and the towels in my hotel rooms. And the hotel chain, the hotel chain might be able to afford it, but I can't. Thanks for letting me share.